Hey, what's up, chat? Welcome to the stream. I'm just pulling up a few history books. Let's see here. Ready to play some Embers. I wonder if we'll get a group tonight or if we'll just be solo. Might do some billboards while I wait. While I do some history stuff. Trying to get this chat overlay thing to work. Doesn't seem to be working very well. All right. Sometimes it's hard when you haven't worked on a document in a long time. It's hard to remember where you saved it. This might be it here. Okay. I think I found it. Okay, this is going to be a fun stream. I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's get settled in. Tonight is just Drindin, story time, or Loreytime with Drindin, as I like to call it. How you guys all doing? You can hear me nicely? Was it kind of quiet last time, guys? Oh, you guys are in FD2? Nice, nice. What level does that start again, Brennan? Beacon lit? Beacon is not lit. It's okay, we can take care of that later. Okay, well that's good. I know last time I had a comment that I was a little bit quiet. I tried to turn up the volume a little bit this time. How's that? Is that even better? Or is it not really better? Yeah, that's what I was thinking was 30s. I'd love to get a group going in... it's the Ember Drift there. The Sunken Temple. No, that's WoW, isn't it? Yeah. Alright. Well, let's see what I got for billboard stuff before I get into lore. We've got Highland Basin, we've got Red Shore. Red Shore Kill looters and exiles. I wonder if I can even take them solo. Not sure that I can. What about the Highlands? Spiders? Doom spiders? Sweet. Yeah, I just got a friend request from Zenobia. Thanks for the friend request. Yeah, alright, let's, maybe I'll make my way to Red Shore and I'll just tool around in Red Shore while we chat. Nice. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I've got all the lore pulled up from the Southern Kingdoms. Took me a minute to find it, but it's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. How much ember do I have? I've got plenty of travel essence. I'm going to use some of that. Okay, I still got Bloopeter's blessing from the event on Wednesday. Go ahead and send out a world chat. Okay, I'm getting warm. Alright, Red Shore, here we come. 20 essence. Okay. For 2 days straight. I'm just glad people are having fun in the raid zone. I think it's pretty unique. I think it's pretty fun. But yeah, I'm a little biased. I'm getting Adrift to make some more event mobs. We're gonna have more stories to run with everyone when you know, as the events go on, we'll have more creatures to throw event mobs at you guys. I don't know if I'm going to be high enough level for this. I'm going to put on online, looking for group. Don't need a note. I don't really care what we do. Oh, I'm gonna die if I run through here. Pay attention, John. Yeah, I'm not sure how you guys run with that camera that follows you behind. Ugh, I cannot do it. Makes me sick. All right. Can you guys hear the printer going off? Hunter, okay. Let me check the log quick. I don't need hunters. Bummer. I wonder, I don't even think it's printing anything. I think it's just cycling or something. It's really frustrating. Woodsman. Well, this will be fun. I'll have to learn about where the exiles and looters are. They're probably not on this side of the zone, the ones my level. They're probably up by the fort. Alright. Well, I'll try to start talking about the southern kingdoms while I run around and look for these guys. So I think I mentioned last time that there were 3 kingdoms to the south, and I couldn't recall their names. So I'm going to do that now as soon as I get in a safe spot. Alright, here we go. Got a couple of single Chev exiles here. I wonder how I can do pulling single pulls. Alright. By the quarry. Yeah, I need looters and just regular exiles. So I can kill a couple of them here, but I doubt I'm gonna get looters here. Probably not. I wonder if the hunters count as just regular exiles, but I don't want to fight a ranged mob if I can help it. Okay, pull up on my other screen here. If you guys have questions as we go, please feel free to ask. Let me split my screen here. Alright, I'm wondering if I should just read this or if I should kind of scan it and get out of here. Outline. Nobody wants you. Alright. So, did I talk about last time about the sundering? I think I talked about the sundering. If you find some of the lore markers in the game, it will have a A.S after it. And that stands for after sundering. So maybe I should go into what the sundering was. So if you can all recall the Great Quarry, which I will pull up on the map now. Go to the world. So down below here in New Haven Valley, there is something called the Great Chasm. You can see it right here. It's the bridge you cross to get into Drifter's Landing here. So, the Great Chasm was caused by some sort of major event that happened to the planet, which I will not reveal to you now. But the people before the Great Sundering were nomadic. And so they would go further to the north in the winter, in the summer, and go back to the south in the winter. And at one point when the seasons were changing and the people were migrating back to the south, a big, massive earthquake happened, and this giant chasm formed. And it caused all kinds of problems, right? This music's loud in my ear. I gotta turn it down, even though I love this song. Alright. So, the Great Chasm opened up. Some of the people were trapped in the north, and the larger amount of people were trapped in the south. Now, this sundering it wasn't just an earthquake. A quantity of ember was released, and that's where we are, and that's why you see things like this rupture near me. I can see the ground going off. There it is. So these kinds of things started cropping up in the north, in the South, it wasn't like that. The Darklands were created by a massive release of energy that kind of wafted up out of the Great Chasm, and it kind of like flowed over the edge, and it caused all kinds of creative chaos, if I could say that. Turn it down again, the music. Oops. Is the music too loud, or is my mic too loud? I assume it's the mic, because that's what I turned it up for. Is that better? So you want the music turned down. Gotcha. Better? Is that good? Sorry, we're still working out some kinks because we're fairly early on. I am not a streamer. I don't pretend to be a professional streamer at all, so you know, if you want stuff like that, you're gonna have to go visit Annoying Llama's stream or something. Or Alice, or some of the other people. Nice, perfect. Okay, great. All right. So maybe I'll just read this one paragraph at a time, and you guys can ask questions as we go, because I know me and one of the other writers put in a considerable effort into writing this, and I think it's pretty good prose. I don't recall exactly. If it's silly, we can switch formats. But I'll just go paragraph at a time. So this is the history of the South. Let me just make sure this is... So is this before? All right, let me see. Okay, this is gonna be fun, guys. Sorry, we're just gonna read it. Okay, so this is the history of the South. So after the havoc of the quakes, the nomads in the South found their way north, now impeded. So they couldn't cross the Great Chasm to get back north. So they kind of had to stop being nomads. So thus they took to finding other ways to survive in the South. This southern region of the continent was known for its period of drought and dearth. Most took to the coasts to the east and the west, undergoing long and costly pilgrimages in order to secure for themselves a source of water. Others took to the south, to the mountains, seeking the high places where the land and the sky met, in an attempt to glean what little moisture they could find. As the seasons progressed, the watering holes that had sustained them during the winter months dried up one by one. And oh, there's a cart there. Just take care of this guy here. You'll find that I'm not super good at multitasking. Never been really great at that, so. Oh, dang it, I'm dazed. Alright, so. Well, maybe the combat music's a little loud. Maybe I'll wait till this guy's dead. Oh, good. We needed some of this anyway. Oh my gosh. Alright, good deal. Ooh, nice. Love it. I just didn't feel like I think back when we just had DLSS, we didn't have these other dynamics ready to go yet, and DLSS was causing some ghosting, and so I just had it turned off. I'm kind of yeah, let's see how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the quality is as good for me. So I'm rocking a 4070, if I recall correctly. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Oh, we don't want performance. We want quality. There we go. Maybe that'll be better. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the blurring, honestly. So I'll probably just keep it off. So I don't have frame. I should probably have this set. I don't need super high frames. I think I'm gonna just try that, see how we do. Yeah, we're up here. I think everything's probably good. Yeah. I think we're good. We'll leave it at that. Let's see. Oh, here, we got a patrol. We got a patrol. A 5080? Nice. When did yeah, I've been so out of after I got the last computer, I have not been paying attention to the tech updates. But yeah, no, I think, you know, I think a big thing is people limiting their frame rates is really going to help with performance. I know a lot of people like to try to get as many as they can, but with the dynamic pipeline from Unity, the HDRP, the rendering pipeline, it'll just take everything you allow it to take. So that's where performance issues can sometimes come in. Let me just check my log here. Yeah, that guy counted, so we're gonna rock with that. The looters must be the more rare ones. Okay, let me get back to my spot here. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Okay. So we talked about some of the southern peoples went to the coast, some of them went to the mountains. Slowly, the water sources dried up. As the seasons progressed, the watering holes dried up one by one, and any that could be found still cradling fresh water were fought over, often spoiling the pools with spilt blood. It took them several years before they found their footing in these southern lands. So, the sundering was hard on everyone. The people in the north took massive losses, and the people in the south didn't have as many losses, but they had kind of a harsher land as far as like drought and stuff goes to deal with. I wonder if I can take this guy. Okay. For some reason I thought the woodsmen were ranged. So, decades passed. Those on the coast learned to deal with the ways of the sea, learned to sift the bitter salt to produce sour water. Water meant life, but it also meant power in the southern lands. Those that could sell or trade their waters without being taken through vice or violence gained respect almost as quickly as they gained wealth. I gotta keep an eye on my health here. I'm gonna throw parry on here. Gonna need halt. Hope I don't need halt. Nice. Ooh, what do we got? Nice. Man, I haven't done any crafting in a long time on this character. I think I started crafting right away, and then I kind of fell out of it. I should use halt. I'm just gonna go up here and sit down for a minute, get my health back. All right. So in the east, in the lowlands, in the marshes of... So we're name dropping here. We didn't do a good job introducing this. In the lowlands, in the marshes of Oleana, there arose the first fiefdoms of commerce. In the west, on the plains and the hills of Kulkardum, Where the winds blew in great gales and zephyrs, the water came from the sky and thus became a revered province. In the center of the south, in the high places, the people never abandoned their nomadism. Only in winter do the people hunker down with their herds and their families, taking shelter in the great tents. The blizzards bring abundant moisture, and when the conditions permit, these people, known as the Tepali, would create deep wells and fill them with snowmelt. These would remain cool for months, and if found first during the drier months, could be plumbed for their moisture. In between these three regions, the east, the west, and the high south, there thrived the wilderness, the domain of thieves and beasts alike, and of course to the north loomed the forbidden Darklands. So the Darklands just kind of became a no man's land. Everyone who got trapped in there, they never... Oh, I think this guy, is he hunting me? I wonder if Undone is around, if he knows if the hungry wolves hunt me. Anyway. Yeah, any question about the Darklands, let me know. It's the lore around the Darklands is kind of vague, other than it's like a super creepy mind messing type of stuff. Yeah. They are stalkers. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna have to go way over here, maybe. I'll grab this guy. I'm curious to know what you guys have thought about the Darklands without the, because like I kind of know what's going on with the Darklands, and I'd love to make it a zone someday. But is the chasm part of the Darklands? Can we see what it looks like? The chasm is a big crack in the earth, and it's like the northern border of the Darklands. I would say it's not really part of the Darklands. The Darklands start on the south side of the chasm, for sure. Because of the way the earthquakes shoved up the earth, all of the energy kind of was pushed to the south. So there aren't big, like, jutting mountains on the southern side. They're just, the forest just starts on the south side. So it's just forest, and deep down in the chasm, you probably have similar effects as the Darklands has, but there aren't like trees and stuff like that. It's just like a giant, like, Grand Canyon chasm. So I remember there were kingdoms down there, and I thought the king in the lore was from the Darklands. No, nobody is actually from the Darklands. People, either when the Sundering happened, the people who were found on the south side of the chasm, like, were terrified, and they ran as quickly as they could away from the Darklands. Anyone who got caught in the Darklands was kind of lost forever to history, and who knows what became of them, because the power of Ember there is quite chaotic. So who knows? Who knows? I mean, you guys have seen... what are your guys' understanding of creatures like the Nocturne and the... Sharon, the Slagjacks? What are your guys' understanding of those creatures? I'll grab another pull here if anyone has an answer for that. Dude, crit me right off the bat. So the king... Are you talking about the king from... the guy in Red Shore? In the King's Keep there? Yes, exactly. Exactly, Bryn. Let's hope I live. Yeah, I don't know if we have any quests that really explain... Oh, great. Oh, please tell me we kill this guy with... That's a bummer. That guy's almost dead. Can I outrun this guy? I don't know. Whew. Okay, we're good. Yeah, that king, he's not from the Darklands. No. Yeah, I don't know. What can I say about that? The exiled king? No. He's... I mean, everyone's technically... from the south. Everyone in like New Haveners and Drifters and Exiles and the Marauders, all of them are from the south because they had to, well, not all of them. Obviously there's been a few generations since coming here, but anyone who who isn't the Vahuraman would be considered from the Southlands, or at least hailing from the peoples of the Southlands, because they would have come from people traveling through the Darklands, crossing the Great Chasm, and ending up... Is that guy still chasing me? Probably not. And ending up in New Haven, and yeah, so that's pretty... I don't know, I think that's a cool story. I think it gives a little bit of character to your characters. You're not just some pushover, but you are a person who has kind of forgotten much of their history, but you're tough enough to... There's that wolf. But you're tough enough to have made it through the Darklands, so you got some grit about you, and you're a survivor, and yeah. So, okay. We can come on. So yeah, people in the Darklands probably would have had similar things like the Nocturnes or the Slagjacks happen to them. If there were people in there. If it's not all a figment of your imagination, that's probably what it would be. So people in the north struggled to survive and thrive, and so too passed many generations among the southerners, each tribe grasping for comfort and security in a dangerous world. To the west were the wide plains, dry and burn, only to grow back stronger the following year. Calcardum spread itself with relative ease. The land, though temperamental during broad swaths of the year due to both drought and flood, was fertile enough during the equinoxes to produce endless amounts of grain. Of course, with such an abundance of food during their times of plenty, there came plagues of rodents and locusts to contend with. Every year, as the Calcardans developed their land and tilled their soil, the vermin returned with equal force, inspiring the people to breed hunting dogs or cats. On occasion, the rats would recognize their superior numbers and turn on their predators, slaughtering them with millions of tiny bites. I wonder who in the Northland might have relatives from Calcardum. Yeah, for sure, Bren. Yeah, actually, my son and I just finished watching Avatar: Last Airbender recently. So that was fun. He's 10 now, my boy. I don't know if you guys know. I've got 5 children, the oldest of which is 10. Yeah, the Rat Man. That's right. We're gonna get this guy. Oh, do you? Nice. Yep. I love EQ. It's a delightful game. I don't play it anymore, but it's still like so many fond memories. Alright, let's do this. There we go. Nice. I'm getting some of the rust off here. Okay. So, lots of rodents, lots of locusts, lots of stuff invading, trying to get the grain. Then would come the exterminators, characters of devious wit and wicked design who would craft poisons to trap and kill the hordes. Their success varied year to year. In the middle of the plains, at the crest of the most dominant mound in the region, the capital of Calmont was established. Yeah. Nice. To the east, where the land steadily dropped until it met the green eastern ocean, the people of Oleana prospered. So the Colcardum was the plains in the west. Now we're in the east with Oleana. The region, with its plentiful rivers and brackish deltas, had always been a place of abundance for the ancestors, especially in the early parts of the summer before the storms and the sticky air set in. The winters were never so harsh on Oleana as they were in the rest of the south. The trees remained green, and so the animal life thrived, giving the Oleanans a stable diet all year round. The difficulty came in finding ground to establish themselves on. Most of the soil in Oleana was either too muddy or too sandy for stable foundation, and while the tides rolled in, or the fall floods, more than one settlement was made unsuitable. For a while, the Oleanans retained their nomadic ways, only occasionally building outposts in century-old willows as a permanent point on the map until they developed a way of making concrete from the stone harvested from the mountains to the west. With this concrete, they would build towns and cities that could withstand the erosion and weather of all but the most torturous storms. At last, after decades of wandering, the port city of Olarium was established. Alright. Questions about Oleana and Colcardum? While I pull another one of these guys. Got an investigator. Try to get back a little bit more. Oh boy, did I just... Oh, no, I think we're good. We're good. We're good. I don't know. I don't know if I want to put it in writing. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe like the basics. We'll put the basics in writing somewhere. I don't know. I'll think about that. That's a good thought. I have to... Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll put something up on the forums or something. Yeah. All right. Meanwhile, in the mountains between Kolkardum and Oleana, the Tepali peoples, known as the Tepalese, or slope striders in their own language, continued their nomadic ways for a century more. Yeah, yeah. I'll write down the kingdoms and their names somewhere. I think what we have to do tonight is decide which of these kingdoms the knights hail from, because we haven't actually put that into canon yet. Because the knights have a very specific, their class has like very specific skill names, things that seem like they've been trained in the past, so things that they might remember even through the Darklands. We'll see. Alright, so the Slope Striders continued to be nomads for another 100 years. The harshness of the winters and the pale heat of the summers shaped the Tepalese in dichotomous ways. On the one hand, the scarceness of food and plant life made each tribe fairly antagonistic of one another, because raising families in such inhospitable places was taxing. The Tepalese population remained relatively small compared to the Kolkardans and the Oleanans. So it was extremely taboo for any sort of bloodletting to transpire between tribes. On the other hand, settlements were established and shared liberally between each tribe. These settlements took time to build, and resources were both costly and difficult to transport. Additionally, each settlement's utility would change from year to year, and so while it was worthwhile to build, it was not worthwhile to tear down and move. So the custom came to be that each tribe would have a designated messenger traveling between places of communion to determine which tribe would stay where during the winter months. This went on for several centuries until the most favored place of communion, a small establishment near the base of one of the many valleys, became a sort of hub, and therefore the capital. So while the Tepali retained their tribal distinctions, they eventually came together for mutual convenience. This came to be known as Dezoko, or fraternity, in Tepalese. Kind of cool that they kind of kept their tribes and kept wandering, but instead of taking their houses with them, they just traded settlements. Alright. I'm not going to get that pull. That's going to be too hard. I was a ranger in EverQuest, so you'll tell, you know, even though I'm a tank, I do have some slight pulling skills. Let's go get this guy. He's off here alone, all by himself. Oh, no, there's another guy over here, and another one over there. Jeez. I still like my odds with this guy, though. Alright. I do have my solo stuff on. If he's too ranged, I can always slow him. Or her. Gotta love alchemy with provoke. Getting some damage on that urine. I wonder how the urine hurts the people. It's probably been boiled with the ember, so it does damage because it's boiling hot urine, right? That's gotta be it. Ah, oh, no room. Are you serious? Oh, I've got all my fireworks in here from these events, you guys. I wonder if that's better than, is that better than my mace? No, not even close. But I still do want that. I've got plenty of torches. I'll throw the ground torches. All right, let's move on. So the mountain the Mountain Kingdom is Tepali. The plains are Kalkardum, and Oleana is the kind of the sea or the coastal kingdom. So centuries passed as each nation grew in its own way, Kalkardum in pride and fervor, Tepali in wisdom and temperance, Oleana in wealth and stability. Eventually, merchants and adventurers from each nation forged pathways through the wilderness between them, opening new opportunities for trade, treaties, and treachery. I can always get more. A map of the Southern Kingdoms. Just imagine, maybe that's what I could do to do some world building with you guys. I could make a map of the Southern Kingdom. Just imagine this, but different. And just imagine, like, you know, in the west, you have, like, I don't know, Kalkardum. In the east, you have Oleana. And in the middle south, you kind of have Tepali. And then there you go. That would be fun. That would be fun. Maybe we should make a map of the Southern Kingdoms. I can do that. All right. Okay. So, trade routes opened up for new trade treaties and treachery. The Oleanans were none too impressed by the Meteorosophis, or cloud callers from Kalkardum, nor were the Kalkardans too pleased by the peculiar manners and sneering demeanor of the tourists from Oleana. The Tepalese were put off by the prices of goods from both neighbors and inwardly gratified to see the Kalkardans and the Oleanans bicker and fight whenever they visited the Tepali. The Oleanans regularly fainted when passing through the Tepali due to the thin air in the high altitudes, and it was fairly regular to see that even the most hardy Kalkardan burn their skin red in the cool mountain sunlight. Tepali travelers found much more welcome in Oleanan inns than in Kalkardum, where they were considered outsiders and uncivilized. But the air was so thick in the eastern marshes that the Tepali rarely visited outside of winter. Yeah, D-Money, this is where the lore is at, for sure. We're reading about the Southern Kingdoms. So it was during this time of growing familiarity, and with it contempt, that a few key events occurred in the world that would scar the South forever. Alright, we're going to pause there. I'm going to do another battle, and then we'll go in from there. Oh, he's got range. We got to get up on him. I wonder if I'll do better with my Mason Shield. Somehow, I doubt it. Not doing too bad. Gosh, you guys, it's been so long since I've been able to play consistently. I don't remember what some of my alchemy skills do. Alright, cool. Okay. So, the three kingdoms of the south are starting to grow in familiarity with each other and starting to realize that maybe they don't like each other so much. First came a series of skirmishes over a stretch of high desert between Kalkardum and Oleana in the foothills of north of Tepali. An alternate route was sought for trade from east to west, as the paths through the mountains could be rather treacherous during certain times of year, namely winter and early spring. when the chances for avalanches were at their highest. Additionally, any trade that occurred by passing through Tepali incurred a tax going directly to the Tepalese, something both merchants and the nobility from Kolkardum and Oleana wanted to avoid, especially in case there were any political falling outs among the peoples. Therefore, expeditions from each nation went to scout the high desert for a secure route. This region was typically held by expatriates and wild beasts, and so each nation worked together to rid the area of undesirables. Although the task would never truly be complete, their goal had been accomplished well enough for the merchants that they were able to effectuate their trade along this northern route, something the Tepalese were none too fond of course. Well, they aren't getting their tolls. Of course they're not going to be very fond of it. Alright, we're going to kill this guy. Oh boy. There we go. Nice. Okay. So back to the trades. To facilitate the trade of goods, a small town was built, complete with a market and walls and a keep for guards. This town became known as Kinsden. Remember the name Kinsden because this is an important place later on. This town became known as Kinsden, and for a time it enjoyed relative freedom in trade and prosperity. However, with the death of the regent of Kolkardum and his daughter replacing him, the daughter sought to ensure that Kinsden was subject to her rules, and therefore her taxing. The king and queen of Oleana took offense that this new child queen of Kolkardum thought herself powerful enough to steal land that wasn't hers. In the midst of this bickering, one of the merchant lords, a man born and raised in Oleana, declared that Kinsden and the region surrounding was a sovereign state and not subject to the taxing of any foreign ruler, and that instead they would be taxing the Oleanans and the Kolkardans and the Tepalese for their convenience of their trading. So, things are starting to get crazy. You've got upstart rulers, you got renegades trying to take over. Kinsden becomes a place that's pretty darn contested. Going after the woodsman. We're gonna sneak up. Gotcha. Surprise! Yeah, I think the shield's helping a lot. I seem to be holding on to a lot more of my health. Alright, that's 10 exiles. Where them looters at, guys? Are those up by the quarry? Should I head that direction? It's actually Kinsden with the EN. But otherwise, yeah. How am I going to read this lore and run through these fields and not get attacked at the same time? That's what I want to know. We'll go check it out. We'll figure it out. Auto run and pray to a backs. For sure. Why not? Can barely see him through the new clouds up there. Oh, I'm so excited for the storms, you guys. Okay. Well, the Tepalese were none too fond about this. They had never been fond of the founding of Kinsden in the first place. Oleana and Calcardum, on the other hand, were furious, each sending armies to Kinsden. After a dozen skirmishes, it became clear that Oleana had supplied the superior force. There's a hunter. Don't want to run through this village and get destroyed. Lumberjack, lumberjack, lumberjack. Let's go around here. We got to be careful here because we've got the wood claimed up here too. Okay. Lots of lumberjacks. Should have come here and fought the lumberjacks. Okay, all lumberjacks so far. Okay. I think I can risk reading again for a little bit. So, Oleana had supplied the superior force, resulting in the Calcardans to feign retreat. The forces of Oleana pushed forward, sieged the fortress city of Kinsden, and took captive their king, in quotes. However, the Calcardan army returned, expecting to find a depleted force of Oleanans in an already broken fort, and while the defenses were... Oh, did I hear a bowstring pull? No, that was just a frog. Sorry, I'm freaking out, guys. And while the defenses were in fact poor, the siege of Kinsden had actually gone fairly quickly, and so the Oleanans were able to repel the sudden attack from Calcardum. Alright. Want to be careful around these parts. Oof. There's another rupture. So did you guys know that the ruptures are kind of ember drifts that failed to form? They kind of collapsed in on themselves. Ruptured, if you will. think Garrick's up over here a little bit more, isn't he? It's this direction, I believe. And there's the quarry. I think I can see it over there. You want me to run all the way back to the beach? I thought you said the looters were over here. Or are they... Oh, are they at the ruins on the beach? I mean, there's a looter, but he's a bit high for me. Oh no! Shoot! Did you guys see me jump? Jeez. No, I will, I'll head back that way. Alright, it's time to halt these guys. Oh boy, jeez. Alright, heading back that direction. Okay. So, the Oleanans were able to take Kinsden, and they were able to hold off the Colcardum army as well. So after this miniature war, which took place in the span of a single spring season, relations between Colcardum and Oleana were understandably on thin ice. With Kinsden under Oleana, the young queen of Colcardum sought another advantage, one of alliance through marriage and infrastructure. Uh-oh. Thus it begins. Let me make sure I got the right way going here. Seeking suitors from Tipali, she finally found a son of one of the major heads of state with whom she could seal an alliance. Oh, there he is. He was a little bit further off. This is my guy, yo. Garrick starts the wood claimed quest, I think. Greetings, Drifter. Best keep your voice low. Silence in the woods is essential for survival. Now, what brings you out here? I'm simply exploring. Drifter after my own heart. I spent many a year wandering the world, seeking only to discover what lay over the next hill. Well, best be cautious, Drifter, and these woods are full of dangers. Oh, there she is. What up, Brennan? Take me to the looters. Okay. This way I can auto-follow you, and I can read. I think you have to join my group, though. Okay, so she found a young son of a head of state. They formed an alliance. They were shortly married, and not long after, plans were drafted to forge a wide road through the mountains between Kolkardam and Tepali, one paved in hard stone and guarded from bandits or beasts. Alright, I'm now auto-following Brennan. Let's kick it into lore overdrive. While preparations were well underway, the other Tepalese heads of state devised that an equally wide road to the east to Oleana would best serve their interests for power through trade. So they wanted not only to make a road to Kolkardam, but they also wanted secretly to make a road without the Kolkardans knowing to the other kingdom, the Oleanans. This road would, of course, not be as ostentatious as the western road as to avoid provocation, but the road should be built nonetheless. Contracts were made with Oleana, routes were considered and decided, and at last, only a few months behind the construction of the west road, the east road began to take shape as well. It was in this period of strained nerves and tight attention that the Tepalese miners working on shaping the mountains discovered something. A kind of stone, one that shimmered even without sun or moonlight to torch it. A courier bore the stone to the foreman, who in turn had them delivered to his master. Though not all of them left the foreman's sight, he later would be a well-known and feared warlord, leading a mercenary army called the Dread Horde, who eventually conquered and maintained control of Kinsden. But his tale doesn't start until after this one is told. So his master, Zev by name, and one of the minor heads of state, had several cunning meteorosophists. Now remember, the meteorosophists were the cloud callers. Whether they actually had power to call clouds or not is up for debate. He had these meteorosophists with him titled mystics, who soon discovered the potential of these newly discovered ember stones, for their shape and their color was the hue of ember. And he warned their masters to take this information no further, that the heads of the Tepalese leadership should by no means know of this power, lest the East and the West also discover it, and thereby plunge their world into a petty war. Zev did not see it that way. He saw himself and his people as servants to the greater powers, that as long as the Tepali had need of alliances and marriages, they were weak and subject to exploitation forever. And so instead of heeding his counselors, Zev took his crew's discoveries to the highest power in the mountains, the Tepali High Quorum. The quorum met daily in nearby Dzoko. Once given an audience, he demonstrated the power of the gems by having his mystics perform crude miracles. The first flash froze a bowl of boiling hot tea. I wonder if it was deer leaf tea. No, it couldn't have been, because they didn't have the ember to morph these beautiful elks and deer into kind of partially vegetation. Okay, so boiling hot tea and shattered it against the ground. The second leapt into the air, bounding 4 times the height of a grown man. The third made the ground shake and the temple tremble around them. The fourth cut his forearm and healed it closed before he bled out. And last and most reluctant, the fifth mystic spoke the minds of each of the tribal elders. With the mystics dismissed, Zev and the elders discussed the possibilities. Tizin, head of the tribe Omandu, meaning cunning or intelligent, and the newly minted father-in-law of the young queen of Kolkardam, advised that this power should be shared with their new formal allies, thus strengthening trade and trust. The heads of the tribes Mauledi meaning endurance or perseverance. And Japuri, strength of will of spirit, disagreed, claiming that such an action would only take away any leverage the Tupali had over the rest of the South, and that such power should be reserved to their own people. Tribe Jakal, meaning courage, remained quiet on the issue, claiming that such a new thing should be studied further before any real decisions could be made. And the last and oldest elder of Tribe Gazat, meaning wisdom, claimed that these miracles were far too dangerous and should be left buried in the ground or at least locked away. What do you guys think? I don't know. I think the Tribe of Wisdom, the Gazat, might have been smart to bury these gems back in the ground. With no clear majority, the elders adjourned to prepare their arguments. From among them, however, the elder of Jakal had a plan. Jakal was the one that meant courage. They remained quiet, and they wanted to study these stones further before making any decisions. The elder of Jakal had a plan. He had grown close to the aristocracy of Oleana and had been the one to cause the road to the east to be built. Thank you, Brennan. That's awesome. Are these looters? Yeah, these guys are all single chefs, right? All right, let's fight once or twice, and then we'll continue on. Yeah, we gotta stick to the outside where these are single chefs. There's a looter. Okay. You guys know about crouching and how it reduces your chances with some enemies to not be detected, right? I don't know who's all in the stream. I'm not sure if it's new players or if we've got old veterans in the chat. I'm not 100% sure. Okay. We'll do one more fight, and then we'll take a lore break again. Are these guys all going to be 3 chevs? Yeah, these guys are going to be... Well, we can just kill these single chev guys. Oh my gosh, Brennan. Hit him with an arrow. I got one tag on him. He should break on the next one. There we go. Thank you. She knows her stuff. There's a delay in the stream. She can't hear me talking really. What do you know about that? Fantastic. Thank you, thank you. Oh, I need those. Those are New Haven kunai. I don't think I have room for any of this stuff. Oh well. Okay. So So the Elder of Jakal, the tribe of courage, they had grown close to the aristocracy of Oleana, and they were the ones to cause the road to be built to the east. They planned to leverage such favor as they could to influence Tepali for their own gain, and so a courier was sent from the Elder of Jakal to their contacts in Oleana, thus to accelerate their takeover. So too did the Elder of Tribe Omandu send word to his daughter-in-law, thinking to strengthen his position with the Kolkardum with his loyalty. Unbeknownst to them, all three kingdoms now desired the powerful stones, and thus Kolkardum and Oleana prepared the majority of their armies, thinking they could quickly overpower the unwitting Tepali people and gain the stones for themselves. They each dispatched their forces to the mountain kingdom, thinking they alone had been advised of these new treasures. This is not going to end well, guys. Without warning, due to the secrecy of the two elders who had betrayed the High Quorum, the Tepali people witnessed the arrival of these two great invading armies near Dizoko at the pass where the road to Oleana was begun and where the stones were found. As Kolkardum and Oleana arrived, they immediately attacked one another, realizing that each force was seeking these wonderful and powerful stones. Their clash devastated the immediate surroundings, and many Tepali lives were lost in short order. The people in Dizoko realized their danger and gathered for retreat. The Tepali elders united their tribes and left with the stones along with the main force of their warriors. Dizoko was sacked soon thereafter, and there were no defenders there. There were no defenders there. The Tepali regrouped and made a plan. They divided their numbers into two great forces, each with a handful of mystics who had been studying and unlocking the secrets of the Ember Stones. Now keep in mind, these are the only stones in the south. There are no others anywhere. There's only 7 of them or something. Realizing that Kolkardum and Oleana had brought the majority of their forces to invade, Tepali and the Tepalese sent their two forces to sack the capitals of Kolkardum and Oleana. The mystics and warriors of Tepali did their jobs well, and while both Tepali forces suffered significant losses, the two enemy cities were eradicated. Due to the power of the Ember Stones, not a single structure remained intact. Any remaining people were scattered into the wild. The mystics began the work of healing their wounded with the Ember Stones, only to find that they began to grow dim. They saved those who they could and traveled back to Tepali, uniting their forces in a remote part of their kingdom. They needed more Ember Stones, so they didn't realize that the Ember Stones weren't going to last. And they did their jobs, but now they're kind of SOL. Dang. Brennan, you are destroying these guys. 3 out of 5. Okay. In the meantime, the two armies fighting in the mountains devastated each other. They both took heavy losses and entrenched their remaining forces on opposite ends of the pass, where the new road to Oleana was being built and where the Ember Stones had been discovered. So remember, they were digging, quarrying for these roads, and that's where the Ember Stones were unearthed. Each side was sending out small parties to scour the surrounding mountainsides for Ember Stones. After weeks locked in a stalemate, reports came in from scouts on both sides of the sacking of their capital cities, and that a force of Tapali warriors was approaching rapidly. A hasty alliance between the generals of Kalkardan and Oleanan armies was formed, and they faced the new threat to their existence together. It was a terrible battle with heavy losses on all sides. Troops in each army began to desert and seek out their families. Guerrilla tactics began to be employed. Small forces were sent off to salvage what they could of their capitals and peoples, and war raged for years. More Emberstones were never found, but word spread of them and legends of their power grew in number, telling of their miraculous feats. Eventually, the fragmented armies turned into no more than small mercenary bands who roamed the kingdoms seeking Emberstones and supplies to keep themselves alive. Let's see what Brendan's cooking up over here. Now, if I was soloing, guys, I would just be killing these one-chevs and waiting for looters to spawn. But I've got Brennan the Magnificent with me tonight. Got an ad. New title confirmed, The Magnificent. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, go check the event. Gosh, I'm blanking on Marta. Go check Marta in town. See if you got the title there, The Magnificent. No, that's totally fine, Brandon. It's totally fine. Brennan's saying she just feels bad because she sent me all the way up to the quarry. So, no, it's fine. Totally good. All right, I'm going to read a little bit more. Eventually, the fragmented armies turned into no more than small mercenary bands who roamed the kingdoms seeking Emberstones and supplies to keep themselves alive. They attacked any village or city they could be sure to overwhelm, recruiting new members and stealing all the food they could find. Places like Kinsden became a stronghold for one warband or the next, whoever could defend it. Refugees often wandered to the mountains in hopes of finding Emberstones to save their families from starvation, but those mountains had already been scoured. When they couldn't find the stones, those from the east went west, looking for a better life. The ones from the west went east, assuming life had to be better there. Then they'd turn south, hoping against hope for a place of rest and peace. Few went north, fearing the menacing Darklands and the horrifying reputation they held. But some did. Those who did risked everything, even their sanity, for a chance at a better future. Some of them even found it in a little valley beyond the Great Chasm called New Haven. There you go, guys. And that's you. That's you all. What do you guys think about the lands to the south? So you've got Kalkardum, you've got Tapali, and you've got Oleana. The Compass Keeper, nice. Yeah, it's you guys. You risked it all to cross the Darklands to find a better life. You didn't just find a better life, you found Ember. What I can't understand is how come these mystics were able to like destroy cities and you guys still haven't figured out how to use these Ember Stones to devastating effect. And I do it again. Nice. Yeah, that's true. We are busy surviving. It's not like you can just lock yourself in a room and study like these meteorosophists, right? So much of that lore was written by one of the devs we had back before launch. And he was a good friend of Undone's, and he's a very good writer, as you guys can tell. But yeah, very thorough. I was really happy. It was great working with him. I might be done with looters, Bren. Yeah, I got that last one was the 5th one. Don't know why I have to yell at you. I didn't mean to yell at you. He didn't do much of the dialogue in game. He did have one quest in the game which everyone at launch was pissed about, so we ended up having to take that quest out because it was a quest where you got different rewards depending on your choices, and yeah, it just caused too much controversy. I think over the life of the game we've had 4 different writers come through, and they were all excellent. I'm being considered the 4th one. So yeah, we used to have a lot of manpower to get quests written and done. It was pretty impressive. Yeah, I know there are still some of them in the game. Yeah. Let's head to the bulletin board in the little fort because I need to sell. Man, I'm trying to remember how many times we changed this zone. I feel like this is iteration 4. For sure 3, but maybe 4. One of those might have happened before launch, though. So I guess the next question, guys. Which of these kingdoms sounds most like a knight would have come from? That's been the question on my mind lately since we revamped the classes. Oleana was the, I think the most stable of the three. I mean, the T'Poli, who lived up in the mountains, they're still kind of nomadic, or at least tribal. So I'm not sure the, that sounds like more of like berserker territory. I think probably one of each of the three base roles, or sorry, so like you've got 3 strikers, 3 defenders, and 3 supporters. And I think one of them from each category came from each of these southern kingdoms. And that's what I gotta figure out, which ones came from which. Well, yeah, there isn't a quiz. I'm just trying to, you know, I'm brainstorming with you guys. Let's think about it. Calcardum was where the upstart queen came from. Calcardum and Oleana joined forces to make Kinsden. The T'Poli are up in their high mountains, kind of doing their cloud calling. Plot twist, the nomads trained up a night. For sure. That's funny. I think the marshal and the knight have to come from Oleana and Calcardum, and I think the juggernaut's got to come from T'Poli. That's what I think. I fell for it. She got me. Do you guys know if these exile cutting axes sell on the auction house very well or at all? Yeah, I think the Jug and the Zerker come from T'Poli. Sell those fireworks to us, though. Check out these fireworks. Look at the cooldown on these suckers. 0 seconds. I can shoot these things off so fast. That's why you guys get such great fireworks shows. I don't really have that much to sell. These are kind of special. We shouldn't be selling those. Got your recently eaten grains. Yeah. Oops. So yeah, I should write this down. So, well, I guess, yeah. Okay. Let's review. The Calcardans are from the plains, and the Oleanans are from the shore. Which one of the two seems more I don't want to say like honorable, because obviously marshals are super honorable, They would never, you know, they're just tactical. They would never dishonor the themselves or their opponents. But knights typically have more of a reputation for honor. So which of the two cities seems more honorable? Oleana didn't really... I mean, Oleana was strong, but they didn't try to like overtake Kinsden. Like Kolkardum tried to just overthrow Kinsden. Yeah, yeah. All right, which of the I think Topali is the easiest one to figure out. So I feel like which of the supporters would come from Topali? I think it's got to be Warlord, right? I think it's got to be Warlord. So if we have Warlord, Juggernaut, and Berserker coming from Topali, I think that makes sense. Then it's just the others that we gotta figure out. Yeah, I should throw these in the chat so you guys can tell. So here's Topali. Kolkardum. And Oleana. That's the names. So, Western Plains, Eastern Coast, Southern Central Mountains. Alright, my next task is to kill elk, doe, or emberfly. I can do that. That shouldn't be too bad, right? Thanks for your help, Brennan. That was awesome. Appreciate that. Do you guys have a favorite quest that you've done so far? I mean, obviously, the Dark Heart of the Depths is probably hands down. Oh, you're fine, Brennan. That was totally cool. So Topali as nomadic. Do they have some influence of the more modern civilizations that they've been exposed to? Yeah, they eventually stopped being nomads. At first they would build structures and you remember how they still had tribes within them that formed the High Quorum in the mountains there? They still had tribes, but the tribes would like switch. They would build semi-permanent settlements and then they would switch as they traveled and followed the herds in the mountains. They would switch settlements, and then eventually they formed like a main city, and then they kind of stopped nomading, but they didn't abandon their tribal. Oh, that bear does not like me. So yeah, they eventually abandoned their nomadisms, but they did not lose their tribal nature. However, to answer your question, yes, they did have more influences of like more civilized nations. How long is this guy gonna follow me? I think it's a distance thing, isn't it? Vane's Odyssey is good. Actually, I have some of those quests to do. Those are solo. I should do one of those sometime while I'm solo streaming. Dark Heart of the Depths is really good. The Topali are the mountains, though, Bren. Your choices for the knights are the plains at this point or the coast. The coast nation didn't seem to betray anyone from what I can tell. The Kalkardums were the ones who decided they were just going to take over Kinsden and just impose taxes on everyone. The upstart queen is from Kalkardum. So that makes me feel like if they had like characteristics as a people, maybe the marshals would come from Kalkardum and the knights would come from Oleana. And the juggernauts from the more tribal Topali in the mountains. I really like the Aedlin quests. What do you guys think? Is that one? Do people enjoy that one? Is that like a highly... Marshals would tax people. Yeah, they would halt them first, and then they would tax them. For sure they would. They didn't do a whole lot of sailing. None of these people are really seafarers. And I don't know how much fishing they actually did. But out of the three, they would be the ones who are more like trade and fish and stuff like that. But I did consider having a storyline that included seafaring, and like developing a fleet and those kinds of things. But honestly, the history of the Southern Kingdoms, it went so quickly, and they found the Emberstones too quickly to really develop like a seafaring culture. And then everything got destroyed. I think they were, in my opinion, they were on their way to seafaring, the Oleanans. I mean, you could consider them as having just like small fishing boats. They would throw nets out and just fish. But they never really like had a fleet of ships and like an armada and stuff like that. Yeah, The Missing Apprentice, yeah. It's a good one. Got two of these guys. They're not social to each other, just to the does, right? I just really love using my spear. There's something about being a tank with a spear that's just awesome. Okay, yeah, I won't spoil The Missing Apprentice for you, but yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, try not to spoil any quests. I really enjoyed The Missing Apprentice. I enjoyed The Eye of Abax. The Dark Heart of the Depths. You know, another good one is, if you guys haven't done it, was the one that starts with Garrick, about the village in the Red Shore Ridge. Have you guys done that one? See if I can take one that's a little higher than me. The last one wasn't too bad. This guy's kicking my butt though already. There we go. Oh, Roanoke quest, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't start with Garrick, it starts with Roanoke, doesn't it? Yeah, the Lost Settlers, that's the name. Gosh, what a great quest. That would be our friend Grimnir. Wade, our other writer. Very, very clever. A ranger who's named after trees, but also a city. Yeah, the Lost Settlers, so good. And I can't remember how much it gives away about the wood claimed. I think it just kind of leaves you assuming some things, maybe questioning some things. What's your understanding of that? Let me lock this so I can stop the red lines. Right. Yeah, I think that one was Adric came up with the name Wood Claimed. I think that quest was one that Wade and I wrote together. I think he started it and I finished it. Getting too far north here, I think. So you've got the wood claimed, but then you also have the mangroves and the mandrakes. They are called wood claimed, so if you think about it, claimed. Yep, exactly. Kind of sad. Yeah, it's hard living up here. It's hard to get any kind of settlement set up. It's hard to get your roots in the ground. Pun intended. Sorry. Nice, you have one? That's awesome. They're tiny too, aren't they cute? Yeah, I love them. Nice. Gosh, yeah, the wood claimed are definitely one of the creepiest creatures we have. The wood claimed, the gaunts. I mean, the slagjacks are creepy too, but kind of in a different way, you know? They're not, and the stonecoats. Those guys are pretty creepy when you look right up at them in their faces. I've never heard of that, no. The Blight Moors. There's a lore tidbit in the in this zone about it. Did you guys know that? Yeah, what the hell's up with the stone coats? Yeah, they're kind of they're a strange one. Yeah, Mama, what up, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. We have less than 10 minutes left, but yeah, so some of these creatures were intentionally morphed, as in the Nocturne. Some of them, do you guys remember, oh no. Okay, it's just a short bow, that's alright. See if I can outlast him. Yeah, so what I was trying to say was, do you guys remember? Oh my gosh, are you serious? That's not what I wanted to do. I meant to halt there. Alright. My hero. And that even counted for my next bulletin board, Brennan. Thank you. Oh, we're still in a party too, aren't we? I've just been running around. Yeah, I know, right? Run, use a potion. That's funny. I should have used a potion. That would have been smart. Guys, I saw Llama solo a named Emberfly. I can't remember which one. But he basically, like, he used one of these fences and he just juked him out the whole time and, like, ran around the fence and kept attacking him ranged and just, like, kept playing do-si-do with him around the fence, and solo killed this named Emberfly. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. So what I was trying to say is, do you remember Osric's Rest? Do you remember how there's like a section of those caves where there's like a cave-in? Very sad to say that some of the people who were trying to escape, the Vahiramen who were trying to escape, encountered a cave-in there, and they were exposed not only to the rock that was around them. They were basically trapped in a chamber filled with rock and ember stones, and they eventually became like the stone they were surrounded with, because it was just too much ember, and they were melded together. So the stone coats weren't actually created by anyone. He kited 2 gaunts and Abaxis going around the mulberry bush. Really? Dude, llama. Malavik the Cursed tonight. Did you really, Nick? Nice. There's a section in there that's not stone building, like, you know how it's mostly like stone buildings? There's a section in there that's like more earthen, that there are other creatures coming out of. Yeah, they're trying to dig up Osric. Do you guys know that what the... I don't know if if this is hidden lore or not, but there's a reason why the Dryfoot people are quarrying and digging. There's a reason why in Grimstone Canyon you see these others running around. And there's a reason why you encounter yeah, well, I don't know if you guys have noticed there's 3 different kinds of others. There are the Watchers that kind of... The ones you've encountered in the grotto. And then there are the ones with the packs on their backs. And then there are the ones in Abaxis. So, yeah. They all have their different motivations, too. I mean, unfortunately, the ones in Abaxis, their motivation is really kind of lost to them. It's more muscle memory than anything. But the 2 other factions of others have different motivations and different yeah. I guess that quest, once you guys get to Grizzled Peaks, there's a quest in Grizzled Peaks, especially to get into Abaxis, that kind of talks a lot more about that. So, well, it's really been a lovely evening, guys. It was fun going over the lore of the Southern Kingdoms. I don't see any reason why we need to kind of hide that. Because even if we do break into the Southern Kingdoms someday, I don't think that really gives away anything. I think at this point you kind of know that there are just roving bands of marauders just trying to survive down there and just taking advantage of whatever they can. So, yeah. Oh yeah, if you go back and reread the quest in Grizzled Peaks, yeah. Oh no, the Grotto quest, the Dark Heart of the Depths. Yeah, I mean that's kind of intentional to kind of tell the story in a way that doesn't give it away immediately, but as you progress through the game, you kind of realize like, oh my gosh, there's all these connections and all these things going on. Yeah, thanks Llama, I appreciate that. Yeah, does anyone know who's is anyone else streaming at 10 here? Should I direct anyone anywhere? Llama, are you starting to stream up right now? Thank you, Antrix. Appreciate that. Alright, well I'm not sure if anyone else is streaming, but if there are, check it out. Check out on Twitch. You can search Embers Adrift or... Yeah, okay, head over to Llama's stream. He'll put a link up in the Discord. Feel free to throw that into the world chat too, Llama, if you want. But yeah, thank you guys for the questions, for hanging out with me. Thank you, Brennan, for keeping me alive and bringing me to the right locations. So, oh, Antrix is streaming right now. Go check out Antrix's stream, guys. I'm not sure how to shout that out. Let me just go grab the link so you guys can easily click on it. Because I think he's on Twitch, right? I know I'm following him. There he is.
But yes, fine. Because at Antrix, thank God.
Man, everyone's got the cool, like,
yeah, I'm on Twitch.
I don't know what you call it, but like the CGI stuff. What's that called again?
Yeah, he's on Twitch.
Oh God, there he is.
Getting
Can't
my ass
remember.
kicked by a low-level bear.
There you go. Go check out Antrix, you guys. Have a great night. I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again next week. I'll be on with Adric on Thursday, and we'll be duoing again, and yeah, it's gonna be great. You can ask us more technical questions there because we'll have a designer on board instead of just a writer. Oh, VTuber, yeah, that's what it's called. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good night. You guys are awesome.
Hear us through his. Oh my
you guys
god.
are the best.
God.
Hey,